Hi everyone, my name is Chris and I am here to teach you English. Every second Friday I do a series of videos called 5 Minute Friday where I put 5 minutes on my timer like this, start, and I answer your questions. I've put all your questions that you've sent me on Facebook or here on YouTube during the week. I put them into this bag and I take them out and I try and answer them for you. Okay, so let's go for question number 1, and it is, I get confused with the. Can you help? I assume you're talking about the when it's the definitive article. Sometimes it can be confusing when to use it and when not to use it. Today I might tell you some times when not to use it. I think is the easiest way to teach this. So don't use the when you're talking about things in general. Cars, women, men, cats, dogs, anything in general, we don't use the as the definitive article or definite article, some people say. So an example sentence might be something like, Americans drive big cars. Americans drive big cars. I don't need the there because I'm talking about the cars in general. That's very true. Americans do drive big cars, if you have ever been there. So if we're getting specific, I left my keys in the car. I'm talking about one car, okay? Before I was talking about cars in general, I don't use the. When I'm getting specific, I use the. Another time when we don't use the are things like names, holidays, Christmas, New Year's, etc. Countries, companies, languages. I am learning English. Not I am learning the English. I am learning English. Companies, she works at Google. Okay, so we don't need the when we're talking about things like that. Another one where we don't use the, sports. I play football. We don't say I play the football, I play football. Okay, so sports in general. She watches football on the weekend. Okay, did you hear? She watches football on the weekend. I was talking about specific time, the weekend, okay? But football, it's in general, we don't use the article. What's another good one? Acronyms. Acronyms, something like WHO, UNESCO, things like this, we don't use the, okay? But when it's another acronym, something like where I live, in the EU, the European Union, in the EU. Now, what's the difference? Why do we use it with EU, but not with WHO, for example, the World Health Organization? Why? That's because we use the when it is pronounced each letter, okay? The European Union, we say the EU. We don't say EU. I guess you could pronounce it like that, EU. But who, we pronounce it as a whole word. We don't say WHO. If we were going to say WHO, we would use the WHO. So when it's pronounced as a word, we do not use the. When it's pronounced as letters, we do use the. Okay, so there were 4 things. Hopefully they can help you. But yes, it can be confusing sometimes. Hopefully those little 4 tips can help you with that one. Let's go to a new question. What is your favourite type of music? Oh, that I could talk about 10 minutes for. I love music. Acoustic rock, that sort of music, because I like to play the guitar. So I like to listen to music that I can then go home and play it myself. Yeah, I really like that sort of music. But I can listen to anything. Pop, rap, country and western, anything. Anything when there's a nice melody and what I call a hook, a nice hook. A hook is something that really traps you into the song and gets stuck in your head. like a chorus that you just keep singing to yourself, or a little melody that just stays in your head. I like songs that have a good hook like that. Okay, let's go to the next question. I have to do a presentation in English at work. Do you have any advice for me? It can be difficult. Presentations, not in your native language, of course. Oh no, we've run out of time. Oh, that's my 5 minutes. But I'll quickly give you some advice for this particular question, because this could help a lot of people perhaps. The first thing is practice, practice, practice. When it's not in your native language, you are probably going to be stressed, and you need to have that practice behind you, okay? This is not something that you can just turn up at work one day and just go bang, you can do it. No, it's something that you should really practice. And when I talk about practicing, you should really study the vocabulary that you will need in that presentation, okay? Maybe at your work there might be some technical language. Really work on knowing that language and the pronunciation, okay? If you are unsure of how to pronounce something correctly, type it into Google, type it into YouTube. You will find the pronunciation somewhere on the internet by an English speaker, by a native English speaker. It's important to get the good pronunciation. So that's for the technical vocabulary, but for the normal English vocabulary, do not try and be too complicated. Try and keep it simple. Do not worry too much about all the present perfects and the past perfects, all the different tenses. Just try and keep it simple, okay? If you make your English vocabulary too complicated, you'll get nervous, you'll think about, oh, I made a mistake there, this, that. No, just try and keep it simple. Also, I would try and keep the presentation relatively short, okay? Don't make anything too long if you're not comfortable in the language. And as always, try and smile, okay? It makes a big difference for your audience. You can even make a little joke if you like about, oh, my English isn't great, but please, if you have any questions, you know, don't hesitate to ask, all these sort of things. And also, talking about questions, it's very important to think about possible questions that your audience would ask you before you do the presentation, okay? Think about it. Oh, maybe somebody might ask me about this. Maybe somebody might ask me about this. Have answers ready in your mind already before you go to the presentation. That can also make a big difference, because there's nothing worse at the end of a presentation, somebody asks a question and then the person that's doing the presentation is like, no. Really try and think about what the audience could ask you before you do your presentation. If you prepare yourself really well like this, you will feel more confident and your presentation will be better for sure. Okay, so good luck with your presentation. That was a really good question. Perhaps one day I might even make a video on that subject entirely. But for the moment, I would just say good luck for you. Fingers crossed. And there's another way we say good luck in English, which is really a little bit bizarre. Break a leg. Break a leg. Yes, kassie een jump. It's something we say normally to actors, comedians before they go on stage. Instead of saying good luck, you say break a leg. And you can also say it for things like a work presentation. Break a leg. Just means good luck, you can do it. Okay, thank you so much for the questions. If you have any more questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments below, or come and join my Facebook page, Anglais Gratuit, and you can ask me questions there too. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.